A year ago, he was Donald Trump's criminal defense attorney. Todd Blanche defended Trump in the Stormy Daniels hush money trial. Trump was convicted on all 34 counts. Here's what Donald Trump had to say about the convicted sex trafficker.
I wish her well. Whatever it is, I just wish her well, Frank.
Today, he's an assistant attorney general of the United States. What's he doing? Flying to Florida to talk with sex trafficker Ghislaine Maxwell, convicted in the Epstein criminal case. Maxwell knows everything. She'd love a pardon.
She answered all the questions truthfully, honestly, and to the best of her ability.
Yeah, Donald Trump thinks we're that stupid. Release the Epstein files. Now.
What if I told you the most humiliating Trump meltdown didn't happen on a debate stage, but online, after an ad he accidentally made more famous? This isn't just a roast, it's a political mouse trap built out of his biggest insecurities, his looks, his manhood, and that dreaded loser label. And the punchline? He couldn't resist falling right into it. This wasn't luck, this was bait he was guaranteed to bite. Stay tuned to see how they turned his ego into a free PR machine for their own attack.
He said it over and over. For years.
Can you guarantee that Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security will not be touched?
Yeah, I mean, I have said it so many times, you shouldn't be asking me that question.
It is wrong to cut health care for the working poor.
There's a lot of MAGAs on Medicaid. I'm telling you, if you don't think so, you are dead wrong.
The effect of this bill is to break a promise.
Medicare, Medicaid, none of that stuff is going to be touched.
Nothing.
We're going to love and cherish Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid. We're not going to do anything with that.
His biggest MAGA supporters said no cuts to Medicaid. He thinks you're stupid and he can fool you. He doesn't care about your health insurance. All he wanted was your vote. Donald Trump. It's just not working.
Before we move on, I would like you to subscribe to the channel and like the video. Imagine designing a trap that the target can't resist even if they see it coming. Now imagine that target is Donald Trump. That's basically what the Lincoln Project set out to do. Their problem was simple. They wanted to slam Trump in front of as many people as possible, but without burning through the kind of cash his campaign was using. They didn't have the budget for endless airtime, so every ad had to be like a stick of dynamite. Cheap to make, loud enough to echo everywhere.
Oops, Donald. You thought you sent J.D. Vance to talk to Rupert Murdoch about stopping the Epstein story. Well, that didn't work. You should have sent Don Jr. or someone else that you could trust. Because you know J.D. Vance will tell anybody whatever it takes to get what he wants. Maybe J.D. Vance and Rupert figured out the succession. Who comes after you? They don't want to wait. Maybe they talked about when to start the 25th Amendment process to take you out. There's something you should worry about, Donald. Something you should think about. What if J.D. Vance cuts a deal with Rupert? And Rupert, he won't just listen to J.D. He'll take action. And if J.D. and Rupert get their way, you'll lose, Donald. You'll lose everything.
Instead of spending on polite policy talk that would get ignored, they went right for what they knew would sting the hardest. Not the economy, not foreign policy, the softest spots in Trump's armor. His looks, his masculinity, and the one word that turns him into pure rage. Loser. They knew policy debates could be shrugged off or blamed on someone else. But tell him he's ugly, that he's weak, or worse, that he lost. That's not politics to him, that's personal. And personal is where he loses control. So they made an ad that zeroed in on him like a heat-seeking missile. The visuals didn't just show Trump, they exaggerated every insecurity. There were camera shots lingering way too long on his double chin, each frame chosen so it looked like he'd just swallowed a Big Mac whole. They zoomed in on his tiny hand so close you could see every awkward twitch. The whole thing was drenched in an orange filter so loud it made him look like a cartoon mascot for bad spray tans.
Donald Trump is president of the United States. If he wanted you to see the Epstein list, he'd release it. But he's not. 20 years for child sex trafficking, but there's no record of who she trafficked the children to? Really?
I don't know about Epstein so much. You don't want to affect people's lives if it's phony stuff in there, because there's a lot of phony stuff with that whole world.
He played you for a sucker. MAGA, you gonna just shut up and fall in line like all the rest? Really?
For anyone else, those details might be just cheap shots. For Trump, it's like attacking the foundation of the brand he's been building for decades. He spent years crafting this image of wealth, strength, and success. He's obsessed with how he's photographed, how he's lit, which side of his face is in frame. Even his hair is positioned like it's rehearsing for a Broadway role. When you poke holes at that image, you're not joking around. You're tearing apart his entire identity. It's like poking a bear while you're live streaming, waiting for the roar. And they weren't doing it behind his back either. They knew there was a high chance that Trump himself would see it. And once he did, that roar would be heard everywhere. The idea was simple but ruthless. Make the bait so obvious and insulting that he absolutely has to respond, even if a calmer person would ignore it. This wasn't a bunch of guys in a room high-fiving because they came up with a good diss. Every element had a purpose. They weren't after just a laugh. They wanted a meltdown that would carry their message for them. If he lashed out, he'd turn their ad from a niche political jab into a headline machine. And the best part for them? That would happen at his own expense. No extra ad buy, no press releases, just his thin skin doing the work. They understood that Trump operates like a publicist's dream and nightmare rolled into one. He can't pass on a fight, and when he fights, he doesn't just send a quiet statement, he blasts it to the world. He might be trying to shut something down, but in the process, he makes sure millions more people see it. That means even though every second of that ad was crafted to annoy him, the real show starts after it aired.
Hey MAGA, he played you for a sucker. He knew you wanted to know the truth about the Epstein list.
We need to release the Epstein list. That is an important thing.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah.
Trump thinks you're stupid. He can distract you. Trump's old friend Ghislaine Maxwell got 20 years for child sex trafficking.
I just wish her well, frankly.
It's sitting on my desk right now to review.
So you voted for Donald Trump. How's that working out?
Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein?
Elon demanded you release the Epstein files.
The Lincoln Project banked on this cycle, and it wasn't the first time they'd played it. By crafting the perfect ego trap, they didn't just insult him, they built a spotlight and dared him to step into it. And of course, Donald Trump being Donald Trump, the man can't walk past a stage without jumping on it. What happened next is where the plan got even better, because that's when he stopped being the target of their campaign and became their unpaid marketing guy. It wasn't just what they said, it was how they showed him. The Lincoln Project understood that an image can hit harder than any speech, so they made sure every single frame was working against him. One of their favorite tricks was shooting Trump from low angles, but not the kind that makes someone look powerful. These were tilted, uncomfortable shots where his head seemed too big for his body and his posture looked unsure, as if he was caught mid-step with nowhere to put his hands. It gave the impression of a man off balance in his own reality show. When you cut from those awkward shots of him to footage of his rivals, the contrast was brutal. Rivals appeared straight on, steady, and perfectly lit. They stood still like they owned the room. Meanwhile, Trump got frames where the lighting flickered off his hair like a bad toupee commercial, his eyes darting around like he was looking for the teleprompter. The effect wasn't subtle, it screamed, "Here's a guy who pretends to be in charge, but can't quite get a grip." They didn't stop with the angles. The editing was a weapon of its own. They took moments where Trump paused to breathe or frown and slowed them down just enough to make him look lost. If he gestured awkwardly, they let the awkwardness stretch for an extra half second so viewers sat in the discomfort. Then they'd place that clip right next to an opponent, laughing easily or delivering a sharp line, and the difference felt like night and day.
Uh-oh, Donald. It happened. The man who made you is now the man who betrayed you. Elon hurt your polls, your ratings. You threw him out.
President Trump and Elon Musk erupted into a nasty public feud today,
stabbing you in the back. And you're so quiet about it. You had to, right? But now Elon's mad, big time, trying to kill your tax bill.
The bromance is definitely over.
So weak, so scared. Elon's got real money, not your crypto scam pocket change. Now he's out to get you. Sad.
In politics, that kind of visual mismatch is poison. Comedy was baked in at every point. They used jump cuts to exaggerate reaction shots, like flipping from Trump's forced grin to footage of an audience member looking unimpressed. They even cut in sound effects at times, subtle enough to not feel like a cartoon, but just enough to make his fumbles seem clumsy. Laughter in the background wasn't just about making fun, it was used like a signal flare. It told everyone watching, he's insecure about this, and we all know it. That's the part a lot of people miss about humor in political ads. It isn't just to amuse, it's a cue. When people laugh together, they're agreeing. And once you get them laughing at someone, it's a short trip to not taking them seriously at all. That's why the Lincoln Project leaned into ridicule rather than straight criticism. Criticism can start an argument. Laughter shuts the door. It was like watching a chef who knows exactly when the dish will explode in the oven. They laid out the ingredients, low angles, slow-mo pauses, sneaky juxtapositions, and let heat build until the moment of detonation. The ad started with smaller digs, things you might think were just bad luck in filming, but each scene piled on until the end, where they dropped the clearest, sharpest insult and let it hang there. By that time, the viewer is primed to expect Trump to lose his mind over it.
It's amazing. Some people still think Donald Trump knows how to negotiate, that he's a deal maker. But really, he's a chicken. Wall Street figured it out. Same trade every time. It's the taco trade, because Trump always chickens out. He talks a big game on tariffs, then backs down. Over and over. When Trump goes hard on something, just bet on the dip. Wait for Trump to blink, then cash in on the rebound. Every single time. Trump always chickens out. He's not a deal maker. He's not a negotiator. He's a taco.
The escalation was a rhythm, almost like music. Soft jab, pause, slightly harder jab, pause, then bam. A line or image so obviously cutting that it's impossible to ignore. That last hit wasn't just a joke, it was a hook designed to lodge in his head, knowing he'd lash out and keep the story alive. They knew he has that reflex where he can't leave an insult unanswered, no matter how many times a press secretary might warn him it's a trap. Every second of that ad felt engineered for replay value. It wasn't just aimed at TV. This was built for Twitter loops, TikTok stitches, Instagram reels. A single awkward smirk could move from screen grabs to GIFs to memes before the evening news even mentioned the ad existed. Every frame was primed for social media traction, ready to loop on repeat with mocking captions that spread faster than any official campaign slogan. And the thing about this one, the ad's bite didn't just come from its design, it came from the exact moment they chose to release it, when the target was already staggering. That timing made the hit land like it was twice as heavy. If you want maximum reaction, you don't throw the punch when your opponent's guard is up. You wait until they're already wobbling. That's exactly what the Lincoln Project did here. When this ad went out, Trump wasn't just in campaign mode, he was buried under bad headlines, legal problems piling on each other, and a Republican field that wasn't exactly treating him like the untouchable king he thinks he is. He'd been stewing over poll numbers that weren't flattering and news coverage that kept replaying his worst moments. In other words, the perfect mood for someone to snap. Timing in politics isn't just about what's in the news, it's about when your target is most likely to take the bait. And Trump, he lashes out hardest when he's feeling cornered. You could hit him with the same ad in a calm week and maybe get a few nasty Truth Social posts. But catch him when he's already fuming? That's when you get a meltdown with bonus volume and maybe a late night rant sprinkled in. The Lincoln Project knows this pattern, they've seen it before. Stack enough irritations, add a public jab, and the reaction writes itself. They also didn't leave it to chance that he'd even see the ad. No random billboards hidden in swing states. No, they bought airtime exactly where they knew his eyeballs would be. Fox and Friends in the Morning, the show he's infamous for watching during breakfast ice cream sessions. Local TV spots in Palm Beach, where Mar-a-Lago basically becomes his personal command center. If a spot ran there, you could bet his TV was on. No wasted impressions, no hoping some staffer whispered about it. This was sent straight into his living room. For a group with a $90 million war chest, the Lincoln Project doesn't blast ads everywhere like a giant campaign would. They spend like snipers, not carpet bombers. Small team, targeted buys, and maximum intent. If the goal is to make Donnie Diapers rage watch, you don't waste your hits on places he'll never look. You put it exactly where his morning coffee will be in spitting distance of the TV remote. Inside their team, they even use their own running metaphor, fishing with Trump bait. Every time they get him to bite, they study the bite. Did he post instantly? Did he go on Fox later that night and bring it up? Did he spiral into multiple posts over a few days? They catalog it, adapt, and pick their next lure. It's not just throwing chum in the water, it's watching what he prefers to attack, and then making sure the bait is irresistible the next time. And they've had plenty of practice. This isn't the first time they've wound him up with carefully chosen insults. Remember the ads about his business failures? They didn't just show numbers, they cut them alongside smug newscasters, knowing he hates that condescending tone. Or the time they ran late night ads in DC, just so he'd see them in the White House during COVID briefings. Every time they learned a little more about what makes him completely lose focus. In a strange political paradox, Donald Trump has become the biggest promoter of the very attacks meant to hurt him. The Lincoln Project throws the punch, and Grumpy Trumpy turns it into a broadcast event. His ego won't let an insult slide, so he fires off rants that send their message further than any ad budget could. It's not just political theater, it's a feedback loop where outrage is currency, and he's spending it on their behalf. Strategic ridicule isn't just landing blows, it's changing how politics works. The only question left is how long this cycle can keep repeating.